How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well.
What the hell are you doing here? You haven't been alive in ages. I mean, what?
I know it's building spaceships. We had a good glide test today. We
Oh,
took the
excellent. Not
spaceship
like
up.
Elon's.
No, we can't. We landed. Everybody was had. We all had champagne. Yeah, it was wonderful. Yeah, we took the spaceship up to the stratosphere, dropped it, glided perfect back to the spaceport. Easy peasy, man.
No,
Easy peasy.
no.
No,
And then
no.
that went well, didn't it? Didn't that go brilliantly?
Poor guy.
Like he did. Right,
Well,
we are.
I kind of think that Elon just likes blowing shit up.
Yeah. He learns a lot from blowing shit up.
He
Anyway,
does.
it's
He
just like
does.
we've gone live and we just carried on the conversation. But good evening and welcome to Sidetrack, guys. Everyone that's watching, Stormy is back. Look, Stormy's back. I got to add Stormy back because the other two heathens don't watch Star Trek.
Heathens.
Freaking heathens. So I thought I would get you on and we would talk about the future of Star Trek. We'll talk a little bit about Picard Season 3 because we loved it. A little highs and lows. I'd love to hear your opinion. I think people are probably sick of hearing my opinion on it recently because I've complained about it a little bit. Even though I loved it more than anything, I loved it so much. There's a few little bits that irritated me and I kept going on about it. But anyway, so I'd love to hear your opinions. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the future of Star Trek.
The future of the future. Yes. Well, I really did like season 3 of Picard. It was totally unlike the other two seasons. And it was very much. I thought it was very much in the spirit of the Next Generation, the actual TV show. And
I think it was we recognized, wasn't it? We were watching it going, I recognize this.
Yes, this seems yes. Right.
That's what Star Trek's supposed to be like.
Right, exactly. I really liked it. I thought the writing was top notch. The acting always top notch. Yeah. I like the inclusion. How they wove all the characters back together. And and it ended the same way that the series ended. The Next Generation ended with a card game.
Yeah, I like that. Nice little touch.
That was a very nice touch, and I think it really was. I think Picard season 3 was really a love letter to the fans. And was it perfect? No. Was Farpoint Station perfect episode? No. But it was a really, really good season.
Yeah. The thing I love about it, and honestly, this isn't a negative thing. It was really predictable, and I still loved it. Yeah. They were saying like, "Oh, we really tried to keep the Enterprise D secret." He did try very freaking hard. We all knew, and it was like, but nobody cared when the doors opened. I knew exactly what we were going to see, and I still went, "Yay!"
Yay! Like the little fanboys we are.
Yeah, exactly. And I got up really early Friday to watch that episode, and I just adored it. We knew it was going to be the Borg. We didn't quite know how, and I actually thought that was really clever how they used the transporters to sort of basically assimilate everybody without knowing.
That was deadly clever.
A couple of times. Oh, sorry, Kerry's just dropped thing, and she's mad at me. You didn't go live on Sunday. I'm joking. This is my favorite channel ever. Hope you both have a great day. We will, Kerry. And no, I didn't go. I got COVID again.
What? Are you just collecting, antibodies at this point? Oh, I got the Omicron.
I didn't get sick, but I think probably we're all getting COVID quite a lot, but none of us testing anymore because I didn't get sick at all. I felt a bit rough for a few hours, but then I was fine. I'm sorry, my internet connected okay. I was a bit rough for a few hours, but then I was fine. And then I thought, I better get a test because I might kill people if I go to work and cough on them because I work with the elderly and stuff. And it was like, positive again. God damn it. And then it was negative by Monday. And I had a negative again yesterday. So I felt poorly for about 4 hours. And that was it. But I had a scratchy throat, so I couldn't go live. And to be honest as well, nothing to talk about. So, but anyway, we're live this Sunday and we know what we're talking about. So, No, I don't. I haven't got a fucking clue, but we'll figure it out. But Star Trek, yeah. Highs, first of all. What are your highs of the series?
Okay, so the thing that really creeped me out was the new, I guess, evolution of the Founders, where they all look like a T-bone without the bone. You know, it was like the veins and the cartilage and the connective tissue kind of just rolling down. That really disturbed the shit out of me, man. I mean, I was like, ooh, yeah. I mean, it's like, and then the next moment, it's like, well, you know, how are they with hot sauce? I mean, the Founders now belong on a grill, whereas before you would never think about eating a Founder because all the gelatin and blah, blah, blah. You don't know what, but now it's meat. Founders are meat.
Yeah. Do you know everyone's got that evil part of their brain, that evil part. And then that you would be dissecting that, and that some part of you would sort of go, like, don't do it. No, it's great. But that's always that part of your brain going, go on, lick it.
And then you do the needs butter. Founders need butter.
So yeah, anybody got any garlic or?
Can we get a side salad with the Founder, please? Just over here. Yeah, table 12. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you see, I think it said, I mean, because like, oh my God, now they're a food source. They can be seafood. They can be, you know,
they self-cook. They self-cook. When they changed, all the heat was coming off. They self-cook. It's great.
Yeah, so now the Founders have all these other issues. Now they're going to be just stalked for their food as a delicacy.
Yeah.
Bad move for the Founders, I think.
And talking about the Founders, though, Captain Vadek, played by Plummer's daughter, I've forgotten her full name, something Plummer. She was brilliant. She was so good all the way through. I'm just like, and she was so evil. But like, I mean, the one bit she starts laughing and she sort of jumps up on her chair, and I'm just like, oh God, she's so evil. I love it.
Yeah. Amanda Plummer, she can do evil.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh God,
she
so
can do
good.
Evil.
Particularly in the first couple of episodes, she was marvelous. I think highs for me, it's Worf all day.
Yes.
That man is just Michael Dorn is a brilliant actor, but he kicked ass as Worf again.
And he makes a very pretty old Klingon.
He did. He worked well, didn't he, man? That guy, he's got a little bit of a like a Colonel Mustard or, you know, Kentucky Fried Chicken Colonel Sanders beard thing going on.
Kind of a proper Southern goatee. And
yeah. I was expecting him to throw a bit of a barbecue on at some point, but he didn't. But it was great. I loved his new sword and everything as well. So that was nice. And I think obviously the Enterprise D was great. But I think I'm with you. I think the writing, I thought the writing was a little bit dodgy in places. I have to admit, I think they made a few silly mistakes. And again, everyone's eyes are rolling like, oh, he's going to go off again. I'm not going to go off again. We'll ignore it. But there were a few silly mistakes. But the show was so damn good. I always said that. I did a video a couple weeks ago and I said, look, if it's done well, these things don't matter. They don't. It doesn't matter that it's a bit predictable. It doesn't matter that it's a bit thing, you know. Nobody shouted woke at this, even though there was a big sort of, you know how Captain Shaw was dead naming 7 of 9,
right?
Calling her by her Earth, a human name, sort of thing. And that's obviously that was a little bit of a point to finger at sort of like dead naming that transgender people go through. And that's when sci-fi's done in its best, though, because that was series 1 and 2 of Picard. They'd have done something about transgender or gay community or something, and everybody would have screamed woke at it because they'd have done it badly. They'd have done it really obviously. But in that case, they did it like sci-fi shows are supposed to be done. It was subtle. It made a point, but it wasn't like alarm bells going off.
The other thing I thought was, and this was one of Worf's best lines, I thought, in terms of people screaming woke BS about it, was Worf discussing his psychotherapy with Deanna Troi. So, well, yes, that was very passive aggressive of me. You know, anything psychotherapy is like, oh, that's just woke bullshit. You know, and but I mean, he delivered the line so well. Yes, that was very passive aggressive of me. I just cried, man. It was so funny.
I love the data therapy at the end of the series as well. When Data's gone for therapy, that's another high for me. They actually brought Brent Spiner back and used him well.
Yes,
and that was nice because they used him so badly in the first 2 seasons. That was because he's too good an actor for that crap. He's Patrick,
because those were the other seasons he was in. They were throwaway roles.
Yeah,
it's just having there for posterity or fans' sake, whatever, and they were throwaway roles, and they really didn't give him anything meaty. And here he gets to do the whole lore transition into Data, and gets really, I got it. And plus, he had the full range of emotions. It was just he really had a lot of script to get his teeth into. I mean, it was really, really good.
Yeah, it was about time we got to see him do something.
Yeah,
cool. And obviously another high is just them on the Enterprise D on the bridge. I love that actually. How LaForge is the highest ranking officer, and he's there, and as the pilot and whatever. Just they took their seats. Well, I mean, Geordie took his seat from the first 2 seasons, so before he got promoted downstairs. But just watching it, a brilliant bit actually. Right, was when Data has to fly, does the Millennium Falcon through the Death Star at the end, and he's doing the thing. If you watch it, every time he taps the button on the screen, it like lit up, and it kept up with him. He's going blah, 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 blah. I mean, that's just like those little details that Metalis really threw into these, that I just adored, and it was so good. In
terms of the displays, they were all actually interactive this time. They were actually LCD displays, showing the LCARS interface. And what's his name? Michael Akuda.
Yeah, Michael
was one of the original set designers on Next Generation. He read an interview with him about how they, this time when they tap something, it's touch sensitive and it actually can change some sort of state, color, shape, or whatever. They said they use that a lot, and it took, because before it was always they touch something, and if you saw something interact, it was always a special effect. They were touching a green screen or blue screen on this panel, and then it would change, like something would revolve or whatever.
But no, this time they actually made it interactive. They actually made it so that it worked. Which is, and they spent a fortune on that deck. But apparently, it's going to be heading off to Vegas for at least a short period. To they're going to bring back the Star Trek exhibition.
Oh, really?
Period.
So, off to Vegas I go.
I'm coming. I'm planning. I'm doing San Diego Comic-Con next year, but I'm going to go via Vegas. And if the Star Trek, better be there. But I am determined to do San Diego Comic-Con next year. So I wish I was going this year. I think they're going to announce Stargate, and I'm not going to be there.
What kind of fan are you?
I know. I mean, I'm absolutely certain they're going to announce Stargate on there. I would put my second born child on it. On the first, my first one's my favorite, and he's probably going to do well at school. So I think I'm going to be living off him when I'm old. But the second,
right.
So I put my. I love them equally, but yeah, and I'm not going to be there. But maybe next year at Stargate we will actually have them like showing us, because they'll be almost ready for release. So we'll actually have like the actors, and rather than just the announcement, we'll actually have stuff, which will be just so cool. But anyway, back to Star Trek. Lows from the series. Have you got any lows? Any bits that you just went, shit?
The low was I hated to see Ro die. Ensign Ro. Well, now it was not Ensign Ro anymore, but Ro Laren.
Yeah, Ro Laren. Yeah,
I really she sacrificed, and I get that, but man, oh damn it, because I always loved her as a character, kind of a renegade, and all this time she's really working for the naughty people.
Mm-hmm. I liked how they did that, because the whole question with her was, is she loyal? What's her loyalty? That was the whole thing of her character in Star Trek. No one trusted her, sort of thing. And then they pulled that back through into this series, and then she showed her loyalty at the end. You know, that you know what she was actually capable of, and I like that. I thought it was again, it was one of those things that they really made us think about the original series, the TNG series, so much, and
Yeah.
I like that. I thought it was a bit of a weird one to bring through, a character to bring back, but the biggest low for me, and I know why they did it, and it was very Gene Roddenberry, so I shouldn't moan really, but I just thought it was stupid. Was all the space babies.
Which babies?
The space babies. So when went pop, and there's just loads and loads of babies everywhere. I just thought it was stupid. I like saying I know why they did it, and it was very Gene Roddenberry, but it was and it was very TNG. To be fair, how many space babies did we see in TNG? And it was far pointless. But I just hated it. I really hated it.
What was the big seed looking thing? There was.
We had Tin Man. That was the
seed. Tin Man. Yes.
Great episode. That brilliant episode. Yeah. Then we had the one that actually attached itself to the hull that they take the mick out of on lower decks.
Yes.
And then we obviously had Farpoint, where they were two squiddy things. So that was basically loads and loads of baby Farpoint aliens. So
now we got more.
Stupid. I just thought it was one of those things that scientists, it's supposed to be science fiction. It didn't really make any sense. And I'm pretty sure even at our level of technology, we notice if a nebula disappeared and was suddenly replaced with billions of space babies. I think, you know, we'd be looking and going, that nebula just disappeared. And like, where'd that go? You know, something like we'd notice. But anyway, maybe I'm overthinking it. I'm definitely overthinking it.
Probably. Another question I had was like, so how long had Ro Laren been in Section 31?
3 or 4 weeks. I don't know. What are you on about?
I mean, because I think, you know, there's a whole series there, you know? I mean, it's just like, talk about a conflicted character up and down throughout the whole, you know, relationship with Picard is like, oh, she knew what was going on before Picard even knew what was going on. And probably, I'm wondering, during the Maquis, the Maquis, going back to that, was she really on Picard's mission, or was she on Section 31's mission already? You know, right? I mean, it's just
maybe.
like, and that's an instance where Picard really didn't know what was going on. It was Ro Laren.
Yeah,
she was the mastermind of, you know, trying to figure out the solution out of the Maquis.
Yeah. Let me just write a note down. I've just noticed Bob just put a comment, and I want to come back to it in a minute.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Bob. Yeah. So we love the series. It's all set up for Star Trek Legacy, which we'll talk about in a little while. Which is it's like 99% certain that's happening. But before we do, we'll talk about a couple of other things that were announced. So we are getting Star Trek 90210. It's happening.
This is the Academy, Star Trek Academy.
Oh yeah, that's what it's called. Sorry, I keep forgetting. They should call it Star Trek 90210 though. That would be so much better. But yes, Starfleet Academy is happening, based in the 32nd century. Going to follow on immediately from Discovery. We'll see how many of the characters randomly decide to suddenly leave the Discovery and go become teachers. I suspect it'll be 1 or 2. What's your initial instinct?
Well, I've heard about Star Trek Academy in so many different forms. It was initially going to be, you know, just character. It was literally going to be at Starfleet Academy. It was literally just going to be day in the life of, you know, getting through the Academy missions. You know how you know, just life and times is kind of like a grad student, I guess. And then I've heard other different plot lines, different, you know, and it's just been malleable in such a, like, they have a title, but they keep throwing different ideas at that one title. And now I think and there was so much, I guess, legacy and so much canon that was associated with the original idea of, during the Picard era, trying to get something going in for Academy. He said, well, let's just put it in the 30th century, right? And following the legs of a rebuilding Starfleet. And then we don't have the canon to really worry about as much.
Yeah.
I like the idea, but it was, hopefully they'll be less constrained in their storytelling.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think the danger for me, if Alex Kurtzman seems to have dropped, he seems to have learned his lesson from the early Discovery series, but I mean, it still leaves, but people still remember it, because obviously Alex Kurtzman wrote a lot of the J.J. Abrams movies, and he obviously seemed to then want to drag that into the prime version of Star Trek. That's why the Klingons were all different, so the style was different, storylines, everything, and it didn't work. People hated it. But Discovery's got a really good, still got a young demographic. Young Trekkies watch Discovery. It's what's kept the damn show alive. So it seems to me that they're going to continue that. They're going to want to try to do a show for young people. And it should concern us that Alex Kurtzman is going to be co-showrunning this with, I forget her name, but the last big show was the Nancy Drew TV series. And that's her only other big credit. And they're showrunning this thing together. This show isn't for me and you, mate. I don't think Starfleet Academy is for us.
Well, I kind of felt that way for Prodigy. Like, it's clearly a kid's show. I loved it. I really did enjoy it.
It's I don't get it, because I'm watching it happy as Larry, going, a kid 10 years old is not going to understand 90% of these references because they're about Voyager that happened 30 years ago. Unless a 10-year-old kid has watched Voyager, who is watching Prodigy? And then I realized, me. It's you.
It's the 10-year-olds in us, and the 10-year-olds that live in the house like, Dad, what are you smoked up?
Yeah.
Do you need a blood test? Do you have too much sugar in your system? Dad, why do you like that? That it's hologram Janeway with her cup of coffee. Don't interrupt that subroutine, whatever you do.
It was just brilliant, though, wasn't it? And they even got Chakotay to come back and everything.
Yeah.
Did I tell you about how I did a video? I mentioned this on a podcast I did a couple of days ago on another channel. I did a video a couple of weeks ago, and I talked about Chakotay being in Picard season 3, and that I remembered distinctly that he was in Picard season 3. Just briefly, he wasn't. I dreamt it, remembered it from a dream, and talked about it in a video.
Well, it's a quality channel here at Side Trek when we're dreaming up our next topic.
I get accused of making shit up occasionally. Really don't. But I get accused of it occasionally. But in that case, I completely made that shit up. Completely made it up. But it was only when somebody mentioned it on the video going, Chakotay wasn't in Star Trek. No, he bloody was. No, he wasn't. And so like, Googling it like, oh God, he wasn't.
And I really do think, just to jazz up the channel, we should really do a video right before the new Dune Part 2 comes out, and the title is The Quetzalcoatl Haderach is Woke. And just leave it at that, and that's just the title. Total clickbait. And then we just talk about the series as usual,
Yeah. I genuinely was going to do I was going to change all my tiles and just put really pretty girls on them all with the same title, and then the videos were just with us on a different channel just to see if it'd get more clicks or not, but I can never be bothered to do it. But I always wondered if it would just get more views. It's like, anyway.
And because people are stupid, they would eat it up.
Somebody would, yeah. But so we're not. I think it's fair to say we're not convinced by Star Trek Academy. I agree with you, though. I think the actual idea is great. I love the idea of rebuilding the Federation, and we might get to see some stuff that maybe we didn't get to see with Enterprise that we wanted to see. Some of like the stuff about rebuilding Federation.
Right.
What I think is going to happen is people are going to work at it a lot, and because there's going to be a lot of stuff about like teenagers and teenagers from different species coming together that haven't interacted for a really long time because of the burn and everything. And there is a danger that it could be more agenda driven than we'd like.
Do we actually have a cast yet?
No,
Has it been cast?
Still early development. Still early development. Even though it was decided, apparently, well, this is the room that's gone around anyway. That this was decided 6 months ago, but Paramount were refusing to sort of sign off on it until literally about 6 weeks or 2 months ago. And when when Alex Kurtzman said, "I've got Michelle Yeoh, we're going to be doing Section 31," and then Paramount were like, okay. But he was sort of like, "I've got Michelle Yeoh, we're going to do Section 31, but I really, really want to do Academy, so can we crack on with that?" And he sort of used that because Paramount haven't been particularly happy until the last, few months. They were really unhappy with the early Picard season 3 numbers. They were not very good until about episode 5, and then they just went, I think there was a lot of nervous people when Paramount, because Picard season 3 cost a lot of money to make. It was a lot of money. It was
the last 2 episodes, I think, was a big lion's share of that purse.
We're looking at $11-12 million an episode on average. So I mean that series cost like $120 million or something, which is a crap load, particularly at a time when they're trying to shrink budgets and save money. So when the numbers weren't very good at first, I think there was a lot of squeaky bum time. But he pulled it out of the bag, and he got Michelle Yeoh to agree to do the TV movie, and then he got Starfleet Academy out of it. But that apparently was all sort of like finally decided very recently.
And you got to wonder, because that announcement was after she won her Academy Award. Yeah. And her fee really went up dramatically once she landed that,
Also, her schedule shrank dramatically. But I actually think it goes back a bit further than that, because she got a part in the Avatar movies. So she's going to be in Avatar 3, 4, and 5, potentially. So it was at that point she was sort of like, I haven't got time to do a series. I don't have time. So then it was sort of like, oh, crap, back to the drawing board. What are we going to do? And that's why it all went to pot. And then Paramount started saying, well, you're not getting Section 31 if you're not getting Starfleet Academy if you're not getting Section 31. You need to do something. You need to figure something out. And that was all like, oh.
Well, if they resurrect Ro Laren, they can still have a Section 31 movie if it's all previous to Picard. Screw the timeline. Maybe she survived the explosion.
Dude, it's the future. Screw logic. We'll do what we want.
It's the future of the future.
Star Trek's been doing what it wants for decades. Don't worry about it. But talking about that and talking about potentially legacy, I just wonder what you thought about. Again, the rumor I've heard is that Paramount only want 2 live action shows running at once. Right? So the current idea is that Strange New Worlds will end after season 3.
Oh, I hope not.
I kind of hope not either. But there are, I think, quite good reasons. There was a big questionnaire that was sent out to a lot of Paramount Plus customers, and it talked a lot about Strange New Worlds, which set off alarm bells immediately. What did and you didn't like about Strange New Worlds? If there was bits you didn't like about Strange New Worlds, was it this, and this? And there's like 20 different options about what you didn't like about Strange New Worlds. It barely mentioned anything else. It just went on and on about that. Then it was comparing Strange New Worlds to the original Trek and things like this, and it really sent alarm bells. And then I started hearing, they're thinking that Strange New Worlds is at risk of starting to step on the toes of the original series. The longer it goes on, the longer it's on, and the closer it gets to where Strange New Worlds, the original series started, the more it's going to.
Or he's put on trial.
Yeah, and then really, it's going to annoy us basically. But also, Kirk coming into Strange New Worlds didn't go down very well in some parts. It was not well received. The first 6 or 7 episodes of Strange New Worlds were very popular. The last 2 or 3 dipped. So the thinking is, oh, have we gone wrong with this? Have we gone the wrong way with this slightly? But what would you think about? What do you think about the logic of that for a start?
Well, I mean, you've got the idea and of Strange New Worlds, going back to kind of original formula. We can, the writers, they can always come up with some way to tell more stories in that timeline that he's got between that period, like where season 2 left off, and when he has to change something, or kind of almost die and then be judged. I mean, it's just it's kind of in the purview of the writers. I still think it's a good show. I love watching it. I've watched it. It's one of those shows I've gone back and rewatched.
Yeah.
It's really kind of up to the writers if they can come up with, if they're clever enough to come up with something to extend that to season 5 or season 6.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's going to come down, at least in part, to budget as well.
Probably.
You need to spend less money.
There's lots that all the streaming services are under insane budgetary restraints, including
except for Apple. Apple aren't. Other than Apple, they're all screwed.
Yeah.
Disney's. The video I did on Disney on Monday or Tuesday. Sorry, I keep messing with the lighting. So if I want to do that, that happens. I'll do that. It goes back to normal. What am I doing? Anyway, Disney, they reckon are about 15 billion in debt. They lost £1 billion in their streaming services the last quarter.
Well, they did go big.
Yeah. Well, also they've started to lose numbers. Their overall subscription numbers dropped by 2.5 million in the last quarter. So it's not even like it's working. So it's they tried to catch up with Netflix and they came close, but so I mean, yeah, they're all to save money.
I think one reason why Disney lost so much money is primarily the fare that they're showing is flat. You've got Marvel movies, Pixar movies, Star Wars, National Geographic,
and the Fox stuff.
And that's a very, in terms of like stories, that's not a lot. Right. Whereas Netflix, they got 1,000. They've got all these series that's come and gone for 2 or 3 seasons that I've yet to catch up on because I want to go see them. But those shows were clearly low budget. They weren't really they weren't extravaganzas like a Marvel series, like Endgame or something.
But they invested in making shows in Spain and Korea and things like this. They don't just make shows for American and Western audiences. Yeah. And some of those shows have then even gone on to be actually worldwide successes. I joked that I got so bored during the lockdown and COVID, I started watching the Spanish stuff on Netflix. It's like that's how bored I got. But it's true that they do spend serious money. I think they just announced they're going to spend 1.5 billion in South Korea on new content.
Really?
So they seriously spend the money but go worldwide. Disney haven't really. But I agree with you. And the problem is as well that Star Wars has gone very flat. The last series of Mandalorian was not particularly good. Marvel's basically now on a 2-year flop. I would say they haven't really done anything good in a while.
How did Quantumania do? I saw it was in the theaters for a hot minute, and then it was like nothing.
Massively bombed. It's like it didn't even take half its cost. Cost over $200 million to make. Its worldwide box office was just over 100 million. Just bombed. And to be honest, mate, it's in places it's awful. Paul Rudd is ace. Paul Rudd's always ace, and his bits in great. Some of the special effects are okay, but honestly, parts of the story just like what am I watching? It's just awful. But anyway, we'll go back to Star Trek. So I think that I do understand the logic for cancelling Strange New Worlds, and I understand the math. The only curveball might be that if season 2 is hugely popular, people are going to be screaming for Legacy. They can hold off on Legacy for maybe 18 months.
Before all the fandom dies down, interest wanes.
Yeah, and before it doesn't make sense for them to announce it. as well. I mean, because it'll take about a year to develop the show. So if they are thinking end of season 3 for Strange New Worlds, they've got 18 months until that'll be that's third season will be coming on, because they're filming season. They've already filmed season 2. They're almost going to go into season 3 almost immediately. So they've got 18 months, and there was 2 to 3 years between Discovery season 2 and Strange New Worlds starting. So the time frame's about the same.
Yeah.
So I can see where the person I was speaking to is coming from. I also wonder if maybe Anson Mount has other projects he wants to do, and without Anson Mount, that show's dead. But,
yeah.
So
he's a really good actor. He, it's like I never heard of him really before. I saw, some bits and pieces of stuff, other things he'd filmed. It's like, oh, okay, that's kind of marginal. It's and then boom, he really.
Well, yeah. He was in that Marvel series, wasn't he? That was brilliant. But he was in something else. What the hell was he was in something I watched him in? That doesn't matter anyway. But yeah, he's not even he's a good actor. He's a likable actor.
Yeah,
you just like him. He's just like it's like Bruce Boxleitner for me in Babylon 5 back in the day. He might not be the greatest actor in the world, but I just liked him. Just like anything he's in, I'm like, oh, brilliant. He was in this terrible movie about a bloody elephant in Vietnam War or something. It was awful, and I still watched it because Bruce Boxleitner was in it. And I just love the guy. And I'd be the same with Anson Mount. I'd watch him in anything. But yeah, so I think that would be a shame if that happens. The other issue is though that they do seem to be genuinely worried about Star Trek fatigue. And I always think that's nonsense, because if a show's good, people will watch it. People are saying now that Star Wars fatigue is happening and Marvel fatigue is happening, and it's not. They're not making very good TV.
It's as you would say, it's shite movies.
Yeah, that's the problem.
I mean, it's. I'm really concerned. I haven't seen it, and I'm really concerned about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I really was underwhelmed by the Christmas special.
So I was like, I wanted to like that so much.
The Star Wars Christmas special was way beyond better than Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special. Yes, I said it here on Sidetrack. Fight me.
I'll bite you. I don't know about fighting you. Yeah, no, it was awful. But I mean, I can see that there's a lot of Star Wars, there's a lot of Marvel, there's a lot of these things. Some of it's not been very good, but people do get a bit bored. And there are like ebbs and flows in TV.
Yeah,
sci-fi does go out of fashion a bit. And then, it seems to be fantasy that's becoming more in fashion at the moment, and dramas become rom-coms in movies seem to be coming back. We haven't had rom-coms on our cinema for years, and all of a sudden there's a couple. So there are ebbs and flows of these things. But I always think Picard season 3 proves though that it's that if you make a good show, people will watch it, and that was been the highest rated Star Trek show ever. It's absolutely smashed all the records. So good. But I don't think Starfleet Academy will have those highs. I really don't. But I do think our next topic, Star Trek Legacy, could. So first of all, how important do you think it is that Terry Matalas has to be in charge of that show?
Well, I definitely think it'd be a plus. It's like you said, the whole creative group, especially at Paramount, have learned a lot, from what they've produced for Discovery and all the other shows along the way. And I think everybody has learned those lessons. And I think especially the guys that are looking at the bottom line really are paying attention to how these stories are. It really needs to be for the fans. It doesn't need to be for any other reason.
Exactly. I think this whole thing about it's just fan service. What's wrong with that? If it's done well,
fan service is why I've been watching Doctor Who since the 70s, man.
Yeah, exactly. But give us what we want, for God's sake. What's wrong with that?
Well, yeah, it's
it's like good. We demanded this. Well, you gave it us. Good. We're the customer.
Right.
Always
Exactly.
right. God damn it.
So here's a rumor I've heard twice. You'd probably know better than I would. Ronald D. Moore coming back to Star Trek universe.
I've
He
not
was
heard that would be amazing. I've not. I will be asking. I don't think he's doing anything at the moment, so that would.
Outlander was the last thing he was doing,
and it's done, isn't it? I think so.
Yeah.
It would make sense. I mean, for what though?
Oh, I don't know. Whatever project he wants to do, I think they would gladly suck up to him because he was one of the primary. I mean, him and Roddenberry. I mean, he wrote a lot of episodes for Next Generation.
It made his career.
Made his career. I mean, he was the reason Star Trek Deep Space Nine was a completely different direction from what Roddenberry typically produced, but it was still critically the best Star Trek series ever was Deep Space Nine. And that was all Moore's baby. Then after that, he said, well, I'll do this other thing called Battlestar Galactica. Everybody hated the damn idea until they saw it. It's like, holy shit, that's awesome. And then he comes up with a romantic show that takes place across time back in 40s.
Timey-wimey.
Timey-wimey. I mean, he's just...
No, I'm just saying that this might make sense into something else that I heard, is that Section 31, Alex Kurtzman wants to write and direct it, but Paramount aren't very keen. So maybe Ronald D. Moore will do Section 31. I will ask around and see if I can find out anything, because I've not asked that question, but it would make sense. And like I said, I've heard that they're really not keen, but Alex Kurtzman desperately wants to direct Oscar-winning Michelle Yeoh, and maybe he'll be allowed to direct it, but maybe he won't be allowed to write it. Yeah. Maybe Paramount has to compromise. But I've heard that the compromise for Starfleet Academy was that he would have to co-showrun, that he was not going to be allowed to do it on his own. That they were Paramount trying to use the night. Look, come on, Alex, you're the boss. You run the business. You run the company. You can't spread yourself out this thin. But apparently, behind closed doors, it was you can't let him showrun on his own. If he started going that way again, it turns the fans off. And the other thing is, there is a big chunk of Star Trek fandom that don't like him. Don't like anything he does, and everything he touches, they immediately turn on. So they're saying this way it's a compromise, and maybe we won't get quite so much heat. I think they will.
Well, I mean, if we're looking at like the Enterprise G as like a show, with 7 to 9 as captain and Rafi as number 1 with Jack thrown in, and the last thing that in Picard season 3. Dealt with the Founders, which was definitely a DS9 thing. Maybe this is why I keep hearing the rumor. Maybe there's nothing to it. Mm-hmm. But, an ex-Borg and, Picard's offspring, that is in the way that the Founders, they're still around. They're still doing something over in the Gamma Quadrant, or the Delta, Gamma.
I wouldn't mind seeing 8472. Come back.
Yeah. Yes.
We actually had this brilliant idea that actually 8472 that was the main boss, and it wasn't the Borg. And I initially was sort of like, no, really? But then actually the guy I was talking to reminded me that in Voyager they did come across a fake Starfleet Academy that had been created by 8472 because they were planning to infiltrate Starfleet.
Yeah.
And I was sort of like, Species 8472. Maybe that's it. I forget the proper name they've got a proper name, haven't they? But I forget what it is. But maybe that is a way they could come back. I don't know.
Because so far Paramount has tickled all the other offshoots, Voyager and Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, with the the exception of the Founders. The dude T-Bones without the bone, They haven't touched it, man. I mean, and that was probably some of the. I mean, whatever happened, the Herosian. Where's the Herosian? Has there been any incursions of the Herosian into the Alpha Quadrant?
Yeah.
You know?
I'm
The
just
Jim
gonna.
Ladar. Oh my God! Just bring back Jeffrey Combs into anything. Just make him his own show.
Yeah, I'm gonna disagree with Donald a little bit. I agree with you. Deep Space Nine was not Star Trek's #1 rated show.
Oh, it got low ratings. Low ratings.
In season 3 or 4, it nearly got cancelled.
Yep.
But that's why they brought Worf in. There's one of the reasons why they brought Worf in. It's why they brought thing in. But by the end of it, it was some of the thing. But a lot of Trekkies will say Deep Space Nine was their favorite Star Trek, even though at times it didn't get the most. And then Elliot Anders, thank you very much. 8472 is the Undying. Thank you very much.
Undying. Okay. So yeah.
Which sounds a bit like
Mr. Anders has a brain. That he's the Wikipedia. If he can pull
thank
that
you very much, Anders, you absolute legend. But there are a few things about Legacy. What you mentioned, Enterprise G. Yeah. What was your instinct when the shuttle came over and we saw that the Titan had been changed to the Enterprise?
It reminded me of one of the original Star Trek movies.
It was the most
after it was I think it was in search. Was it In Search of Spock? Maybe when Kirk and Scotty are in this shuttle, and they come across, and then we see the next starship that they're going to give Kirk was the Enterprise. I forget. I think it was.
I think they did it in the motion picture, but I also think yes, they did it in
the motion picture. Because I remember it's either Bones or I think it's Bones that said we'll be lucky if we get a garbage scow.
Yeah,
and then Scotty said something like,
then they're like, I hope we get the Excelsior, and he's like, no, I don't.
Why would you want that piece of shit?
Yeah, and then it comes around the corner, and it was the end of Voyage Home, wasn't it?
It reminded me of that scene. Going way back. It reminded me of that scene. It kind of introducing the ship as yet another character.
Yeah, I hated it. The Titan was a ship on its own. They didn't. The thing that annoys me about it a little bit is they didn't need to do it. A series called Star Trek Legacy with 7 of 9 aboard the Titan. Great. 7 on board the Enterprise. Okay, but why?
Well, Starfleet does have a habit of renaming ships for sentimental reasons.
Yeah,
like the Sao Paulo became the Defiant.
Yeah. The Yorktown became the Enterprise A.
Yeah, so, yeah.
I just think it was a little bit lazy. And I think he's done it because they've got an obsession with having an Enterprise in the fucking Star Trek show. But what I'd have preferred, Undiscovered Country, when there's the Enterprise and it's flying off towards the sun, and then the Excelsior's next to it, and the Excelsior, that's a big ship, not as big as the Captain. I would have loved a scene with the Titan and a new Enterprise, because we all love a new Enterprise. Come on, we always love a new starship. A new Enterprise. And then maybe I don't know, whoever's captain the Enterprise, I don't know off the top of my head, but somebody cool, Data or somebody, and then they go see you around, so then it flies off, and then the Titan flies off into the distance, going to the new adventure. That would have been cool. But now it's the Enterprise, but it has had a massive refit, so maybe it's got a bit more teeth than it did in this series. It's had a year basically in space dock having a refit, so. Because it's not a particularly good ship in the series. It got its ass handed to it immediately. Shaw turns up, sees a strike, and went, run away! Immediately. It doesn't, where's our Federation spirit? We can take this bad boy on. No, it's just no, we can't take this on. We're crap. That ship's good. We're crap. Run away. So, yeah, it was, what did I say, Seth? Did I say something? Did I not say the Yorktown? Didn't I say the Yorktown?
You said the Yorktown.
Oh, okay, cool. It is the Yorktown. So if I said something else, sometimes I do. So I wasn't a big fan of that. What do you think about the rumor that Captain Shaw might return in some clever way, apparently, that they've thought of?
God, I loved his acting, man. He he really knew how to play a man that had it up to here. You know, you're talking about Picard's shenanigans and Riker's shenanigans. And he's just like, no. You just calm down. Just no.
No.
He really did that well, and it was just like it was almost kind of refreshing because Picard always got his way, and somebody finally told Picard no.
I am almost immediately after the episode done. Obviously, there's loads of jokes going around with Todd Stashwick on in his Twitter. We're going, when are you going to die? You keep wearing a red shirt, you're definitely going to die. And there's a big joke about that he wasn't even going to make the opening credits and all this sort of thing. And I tweeted him, and I just said, "Just say no!" Big exclamation mark, and he liked it. And so I was just like, "Oh, that's cool." I've said to him a few times now, it's Star Trek, man. You're dead. Just say no. Screw it. No. But apparently they've got an idea. There is an idea that Terry Matalas has already discussed with him, and he said he thinks it's a pretty cool idea. So if the show came back, he could come back. I don't think it'd be a full part. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be like a bloody training hologram or something. But it's the emergency command hologram, and it's him just going no.
No.
Yeah. Should we do this? No.
Nope.
Should we go on the attack? No.
Nope.
But I think it'd be very cool. What do you think about Captain 7 of 9 and Number 1 Raffi, considering their relationship?
I think it's awesome. I mean, it's just, here you've got somebody that's still very kind of Borgish. It still has, I guess, mental scars from being a Borg. And then you have, someone that's a recovering alcoholic as number 1. And
that laser beam drug thing.
Yeah. So anyway, it was. I thought it was a cool idea. I'd like to see it, and I don't know what Jack's role is, science officer or the I don't know.
Well, he's special counselor or something, but
special advisor. Yeah.
They didn't mention the relationship in season 3, but I did see a meme where Raffi walks through and 7 of 9's behind her, and 7 of 9 looks her up and down from behind, and everyone's like, they slipped it in.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
No pun intended. Slip it in.
Now, see, my brain wanted to say something then that I remembered other people are watching, so I stopped myself. Becoming a grown-up. Come on. I'm actually like a proper YouTuber at this point. I'm actually starting to remember not to say things. It's great. It's probably going to be a bit boring.
You're not in the pub anymore.
No, unfortunately.
So I would just, what I would really like to see is, I want to see the character B'Elanna Torres back in action.
Yeah.
I'd really like to see that.
Well, the thing I was going to say next was Terry Matalas has talked about a lot more cameos from Voyager and Deep Space Nine characters, and which ones would you want to see? I'm wondering B'Elanna Torres' child. I can't remember if it was a boy or a girl. I'm sorry, I can't remember. But they had a child together. So little Klingon Paris. So is that one?
Well, I'd like to see B'Elanna Torres.
Yeah, Torres would come back as well, but maybe the kid would be like, I don't know, a transport engineer or something. What other characters do you think you'd probably quite like to see? I've got one definitely in mind.
From Voyager?
Or Deep Space Nine.
Oh God, Deep Space Nine. I'd love to see Quark back.
Elliot and Kizzy Quark. Yeah, why not?
Who else would you? There was definitely want to see Cisco again. Just to wrap up.
They've set it up for the comics that he's returned. He's back.
I'd like to see that unfold more cinematically than just a brief, Love Kira.
Yeah, I'd quite like to see Kira.
Yeah,
I don't see why not.
But from Voyager, Janeway was always cool. But she's treated very well in Prodigy, But yeah, I think Belana Torres, because she's just always so angry, and but she just wasn't angry to be angry. She always, it was how she dealt with it. I thought was really important to the character, and she's a great actress, and she's a great director. I forget how many episodes of Star Trek, whatever she's directed.
I
think she have more credits than Riker, huh?
Yeah. I think Janeway's got to come back because Captain 7 of 9, Admiral Janeway, that writes itself, doesn't it?
It does.
So they would be banging heads of something. I think Miles O'Brien's got to come back, and his kids. Molly, was it? Actually, I think
yes.
Earlier.
Keiko and Miles. Well, yes.
Yoshi. Oh, Elliot says it was a boy, Yoshi. I thought they had a girl as well. They have 2 kids, didn't they? I might be wrong. But I've watched Deep Space Nine recently as well. I should remember that. But I'd love to see. Obviously, those are grown-ups now, and I'd love to see one of those as like, because obviously O'Brien was an engineer and transporter thing. I'd love to see one of them as like a security officer or something, just because they've got to have something completely different job, haven't they? And so that would be cool. Somebody said Naomi Wildman.
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah.
I'd like that. That'd be cool.
Julian Bashir. I'd like to see that character again.
Yeah. I was just going to say as well that Yoshi, Robert Picardo as well. He's got to come back as the Doctor. It'd be so easy again just to write him in and to do something. I'd love to. There are so many different storylines they can come up with, though, and that's why Legacy has just got such a. Like I said, it writes its bloody self. It's almost easy.
I mean, from those things that they're drawing upon Legacy, how many episodes are we looking at between TNG, Voyager, and Deep Space Nine? How many total episodes?
Well, it's 7 seasons of both at 22 episodes a season, 21 or 22. I don't think they're all 22, are they? So 21 times 7 is 70, 140. A lot.
Almost 200. More than 200.
So you're looking at like 600 episodes, something like 500 and something episodes. I'm just waiting for.
That's a lot of storytelling, man. That's a lot of storytelling they have to draw upon. All sorts of characters, ancillary characters, background characters, shady guys at the bar.
Go kill that oil fella. He pissed me off. So go get him. I can't remember his name. The dude that killed. Oh, bloody hell.
I'm going to have to narrow that down. Guy that killed somebody.
The oil dude that killed Tasha Yar.
Oh!
I normally know his name.
I'm sure, yeah. Anyway, it's a... I don't think you're bringing Tasha Yar back.
No. Even though she is still alive. But premise is more important than characters. Now, I'm going to slightly disagree with that. Because, again, I would argue that Strange New Worlds' premise... is and actually some of the story is not very good and it's a little bit boring, but the characters are so good it doesn't matter. There's several of the storylines in it. Aramis as the oil fella that killed Tasha. So there's so many. And the whole thing is as well with Strange New Worlds, and I said this at the time, I was sort of like, how is this going to be a great show? Was because we know where we know what happens. That's why I hate prequels. You know what happens. We know what runs up to the original series. So I always thought it would be a bit rubbish. But the characters are so good and the writing's good, it doesn't matter. So I would agree with you. Normally, premise is more important than characters. But actually, I would argue that maybe they go hand in hand. You need both. A good premise with crap characters is pointless and vice versa. Possibly.
Because you've already got the foundation.
Yeah.
Starfleet.
Yeah. Jake makes a good point too. Characters and premise. Case in point, Reservoir Dogs, a film about a man bleeding to death for 2 hours. Loads of characters though. The characters are amazing.
Good characters.
Yeah. But anyway, so I think that's just pretty much covered. That Star Trek covered, and we're at the hour mark. I will keep you to an hour. God damn it! Well, I won't. We're going to run over in 25 seconds. But yeah, it's amazing. I'd love to just thank everybody, particularly the people that are members that are in the chat. So Shelley, hi. Kerry, hi. Let's go back through. Who else have we seen? I'm looking for the little spanner logo. I saw more. Come on, where are you? Okay, I've lost you. I can't find anyone. Seth, hello, sir. Anybody else? I'm sure I saw somebody else. Anyway, if I can't see you, thank you so much, guys, and it's brilliant to see you. Oh, I can't turn that off now because I've got to go and find the. Oh, there we go. But yeah, thank you, guys. It's been really good. I love having you back, Stormy. And
thank you. Love being back.
If we have to do midweek videos, mate, we will do midweek videos. Just
okay.
to keep you involved because we miss you very much.
So let me take some time to pitch the other thing I'm doing. I've got this old laptop and it's just not conducive to making a decent video, So there's this new project that Jamie and I have cooked up called Cocktails with Stormy. And it's where, I create a cocktail and then we talk about a random book title. Because not really random, it's something I want to talk about. But
well, you pitched it to me saying, I'm going to talk about Bobo Baggins' walking stick. And I'm there going, okay. Bobo Baggins' walking stick. And you actually said, I'll talk about that for hours. And I'm there going, he will talk about that for hours.
No, but we always discuss TV shows and movies here. We rarely talk about books. And I think there's so much sci-fi books out there that I'd love to see make it to a series like Frederick Pohl's He-Chi series. Starting off with his book Gateway, which is excellent, written in the 50s or early 60s or something. I mean, it was just an excellent book. Go get Gateway. And so there's these books I want to start talking about to try to get people, go download it on Kindle or something. But we need to be more than just movies and television.
Definitely. Well, we need the channel to be as many different things as we can be. And on that vein, I'm also going to be doing a series of videos with my son very shortly. Because he is going to be talking. He's an avid reader. He reads.
Good for him.
He's going through Lord of the Rings at the moment. He likes them very much.
Good for him.
We're going to do a series where I don't read at all. I've read the Harry Potter books. That's pretty much it. So it's embarrassing, I know, but I just don't. I try to read, and I just can't be bothered. But I love a movie. So what we're going to do is he's going to read the book, and he's going to talk about the book, and I'm going to talk about the movie that goes with it. And we'll talk about the differences, and he'll explain. So he's at 14 is going to go very highbrow and talk very intelligently, and I'm not going to be able to film.
They had orcs.
Yep, but we're starting with Blade Runner, and he's reading the whatever it is with sheep. Well, I can't remember what it's called. Sleeping Sheep, something or other. The book it's based on, anyway. Why does sleeping?
Do robots dream of electric sheep?
There you go. Thank you very much. So he's reading that at the moment for me, and then we're going to talk about the movie, and then I'm actually talking because it's Blade Runner. I don't like it, so that's going to be fun. I've got to watch Blade Runner again. It's boring shit. And then we're going to talk about everything. And also, before we go, I'm doing a video and it's going to release tomorrow, and I'm really nervous about it. So please be nice. But I've tried to do a comedy sketch, basically. And I'm the health and safety guy for Stargate Command in it.
I remember us talking about this.
Yeah.
And it needs to be like a vocational video, like thank you for taking safety seriously here. He
does it he's doing like a video report back to the Senate Oversight Committee, and obviously I start off really positive, like we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and everything, and then by the end of it, it's just like, oh god, sorry, like, why do they do this? And and if people like it, I'll do them for different shows, and I'll do for season 2 of Stargate. I've done it for, but if people like it, I'll do them for other shows and other seasons and stuff. But yeah, it was fun to do. It was a good laugh to do. But my acting skills.
You're forgetting this time.
I put it on Patreon today, And one of the lovely Patreon people, Dave, actually came back to me and went, "Don't quit your day job, though, will you?"
As long as they didn't cancel their Patreon, that's the good thing.
But he did give me 7 out of 10.
Oh,
So
well, there you go.
I'll take it. And then I edited it a bit more heavily, so hopefully it'll be more interesting. I've got like 4 minutes out to make it a bit more interesting. But so yeah, we are trying to do different things with the channel. That's my point. And yeah, Stormy's you're gonna start doing some videos. Matt's gonna be back doing videos soon. He's having a bit of a break. I go through this. I don't know about you, Stormy, when you know, with your YouTube channel as well, that, you know, every so often you just get to a point, it's like, oh, I need a break from this. It's becoming work, and it's not supposed to be work. It's supposed to be fun, you know.
I mean, I haven't touched my channel in maybe a year now.
Well, you're busy with spaceships.
I know, dude. So, and one thing I've been thinking about doing is I've got this other channel that I've been working on, and but it's just been, you know, like sci-fi and horror, old-timey radio shows, and I'm just cleaning up the audio and repackaging them, and because most of the radio shows you find on YouTube, they're like Gunsmoke or something. There's really not a dedicated channel for sci-fi and horror, and I really think that's missing.
Very cool. Well, definitely.
Night
ready with that, and we'll advertise the shit out of it.
Yeah.
So, all right then, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. That's all of our stuff. Go over to check the link for the descriptions for links to Stormy's channel, links to the Patreon page, links to the blah blah blah, all that crap.
Clicky.
Yeah, go on sidetrack.com and buy stuff. That's always good.
He loves it when you buy stuff.
Yeah, I do love it when you buy, because the more crap you buy, the more my wife doesn't moan at me for letting me do this. But it's amazing, mate, how the channel now does make a little bit of money. Like I said, I've been able to go down to 4 days a week. I'm making a little bit of money on it. It's amazing how quickly she stopped moaning when I bought her something pretty. So it works. We'll put it that way. All right, guys, thank you so much. We're gonna say goodnight.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for watching. We really do appreciate it.
We love you all. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.